Have you ever wondered what the most common last name is in Spanish-speaking countries? Today we will embark on a very special journey through the Spanish-speaking world, from the sunny coasts of Spain to the vibrant communities of Latin America, including exotic Equatorial Guinea in Africa. We begin in Spain, the birthplace of the Spanish language. Here, the most common last name is García, which has roots in pre-Roman Hispania, and it's estimated that about 3.5% of the Spanish population has it. Several linguists claim that García has Basque origins. This last name spread throughout the Spanish-speaking world through colonization and mixing. Our next destination is Mexico, the most populated Spanish-speaking country. Here, the last name Hernández takes the crown. With roots that possibly go back to medieval times in Spain, Hernández means son of Hernando. It's estimated that around 2.1% of Mexicans have this last name. It's a clear example of how Spanish surnames became rooted in local cultures after the Spanish conquest. In Colombia, the most common last name is Rodríguez, which means son of Rodrigo, and is carried by about 1% of the population. Rodrigo comes from Germanic and means famous in battle. It's interesting to note how this last name is not only common in Colombia, but also in several countries in the Americas, Latin America, reflecting the Spanish influence in the region. Now we travel to Argentina, where González tops the list. González, which means son of Gonzalo, is found in about 3.5% of the population. Gonzalo comes from the Germanic name Gundus albus, from Gundus, meaning battle, and was Latinized as Salbus, meaning healthy. This surname is particularly prevalent in regions that were important centers of Spanish immigration during the 16th and 17th centuries. In Peru, the most common surname is Quispe. Unlike other Spanish-speaking countries, Quispe is a surname of Quechua origin, reflecting the country's rich indigenous heritage. The word Quispe is associated with indigenous nobility. Quispe is Inca and means free. Approximately 1.5% of Peruvians have this surname, showing a unique blend of pre-Columbian cultures and Spanish influences. In Venezuela, we find that González is also the most common surname. Just like in Argentina, it reflects the strong influence of Spanish colonizers. This repetition in several countries highlights how certain surnames have spread and taken root in multiple cultures and nations over the centuries. Making a stop in Chile, we find that Muñoz is the most common surname in this country. Muñoz means son of Muñoz and has its roots in the ancient region of Castile in Spain. Approximately 1% of Chileans have this surname, and it's an example of how certain surnames that are less common in Spain have become the most frequent in other Spanish-speaking countries. In Ecuador, the surname Zambrano is the most common, and according to some philologists, it is of Basque origin. This surname is also common in other Spanish-speaking countries, but in Ecuador it has a particularly strong presence, as nearly 216,000 people have it.
Habitantes.
It is one of the most common in Guatemala. The most common surname is López. López, which means son of Lope, is found in a significant percentage of the Guatemalan population. Lope comes from the Latin lupus, which means wolf, and reflects the strong Spanish influence in the region. The prevalence of López in Guatemala is a testament to the widespread distribution of certain surnames during the colonial era and how they have become integrated into the national identity. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified about new videos. In El Salvador, the surname Hernández is the most common according to the National Registry of Natural Persons. Once again, this Spanish origin surname reflects the influence of Spanish colonization and is shared by a large part of the Salvadoran population. Honduras also has Hernández as its predominant surname, and it represents a little more than 4% of its total population, which is estimated at around 10 million Hondurans. The frequency of Hernández in this country shows a strong cultural connection with other Central American countries and the shared heritage with Spain. In Nicaragua, the surname Lopez is the most common and is held by a little more than 211,000 Nicaraguans, making it the most frequent in this country, just like in its neighbor Guatemala. In our next destination, Costa Rica, a country with 5 million inhabitants, we find that Rodríguez is its most common surname, representing about 2% of its total population. Just like its presence in Colombia, this Spanish origin surname is yet another testament to the historical influence of Spain in Latin America. In Panama, just like its two neighboring countries, Costa Rica and Colombia, Rodríguez is the most common surname among its inhabitants, and it makes up 3.4% of the total population, followed very closely by González. The most common surname in the Republic of Bolivia is Mamani, and in case you're wondering about its origin, it's Aymara, which means hawk, and it is borne by no fewer than 330,000 Bolivians, which represents 2.7% of the total population. Uruguay has Rodríguez as the most common surname, with a little over 100,000 Uruguayans. Just like in Argentina, it shows the strong influence of Spanish colonizers in the southern cone. González once again stands out as a predominant surname in Paraguay, just like in neighboring Argentina. And that's because nearly 530,000 Paraguayans have this surname, which confirms its strong presence in this country, once again reflecting the spread of Spanish heritage. On the island of Puerto Rico, Sanchez is the most common surname. This surname originates from the Iberian Peninsula and literally means son of Sancho, with records of its existence dating back to the Middle Ages, making it one of the oldest surnames in Spain. Now we arrive at the Dominican Republic in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, which has Rodríguez as its most common surname. It is borne by more than 250,000 Dominicans, which is quite a significant number in a country with a total population of just over 11 million people. On the island of Cuba, the surname Fernández stands out as the most common in this country. Of Spanish origin, this surname is quite common among Cubans, showing the legacy of the Spanish colonial era. Fernández means son of Fernando. Finally, in Equatorial Guinea, a Spanish-speaking African country, the most common surname is Nguema. Unlike other Spanish-speaking countries, this surname reflects the uniqueness of African cultural heritage and means great strength. And so we conclude our journey through the Spanish-speaking world, exploring the most common surname of each country, seeing how history, culture, and migration have shaped the genealogy of these territories. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to this channel. I also invite you to turn on the notification bell so you'll know when there's a new video. See you soon.